Yeah, how you doing? Charlie Winters here with selections for Wednesday, the 17th of August. So let's get into it. So we're heading towards York for York races. Well, it looks like there's finally been some rain. Well, I know there's a downpour in York yesterday, so I'm guessing it's affected the race course slightly. I don't know if it's still raining, I'll be totally honest. But I've gone for horses that have run well on soft, they've run well on decent ground, like good to firm ground. I am not going ground preference. What I have been looking at is possible draw bias, but also a speed favouring bias, or where the speed is at. So the first race, so what the bet is a 10 pence each way, lucky 15, 50 pence each way single on each selection, and a 50 pence each way accumulator. So the first selection is Mondamage at 14 to 1 in the 150 at York, paying 7 places instead of 3. This horse is drawn high. While I'm looking at the race, I'm not going to go and show you the card now because I'm not too good at making these videos. But I've never seen so much pace in one race. They are virtually all drawn high. There must be 8 horses all that want to lead and normally do lead. So that should be really interesting. Well, the ground could change. This horse has ran okay on slower ground. It also ran okay on quicker ground. So I'm not really... the ground is not really the reason why I've chose it. It's run well over course and distance. It came 5th in this race last year, drawn 8 and ran down the centre. So what I think it could be, I think all the pace is drawn very high, but they could come middle to high numbers. Well, this horse, it normally comes from the back. Well, it's number 3. It's the 3rd best horse on ratings in this race. I do believe it's run a couple of flat races, as in like disappointing races recently. But I think it could be tuned up for this race. And I do think that Cam Hardy has got a couple of decent mounts at York, and this is certainly one of them. So I think it won't exactly track the pace, but I think it could get a little bit detached. But I think potentially the front runners could fall in an absolute heap towards the end, because if the ground is affected a little bit by the rain, they may underestimate it and set off too quick anyway. So they could be legless come a furlong to go. And I think this horse, don't get me wrong, I'm not confident of it winning, but I think if it runs its race how it can do it, set off a fast pace and arrive late, I think it's got a cracking chance, especially first 7 places. So that's the first selection. The second selection is Have You Missed Me at 12 to 1 in the 10 past 4 at York, paying 6 places instead of 3. This Ian Jardine horse, it's low down in the handicap. I do think there's possibly a bit of improvement to come. I did originally look at Withhold, the horse called Withhold, but it ran too disappointing for me last time at York, at Ascot, sorry. So I've actually gone against it. I've gone for Have You Missed Me at 12 to 1. The third selection is Hello My Darling at 25 to 1 in the 4:45 at York, paying 6 places instead of 4. This horse is probably it definitely isn't one of the Nick Bradley owned horses that is like the more fancied horses. I think potentially this is one of the darker horses. It's also got that, is it Connor Planis or Planus claiming 7th, so I think it's very interesting. And also, it's actually plummeted down the handicap recently as well. I think it started the season off 100. I think it's off 88 tomorrow, and it ran over course and distance last year off a mark of 90 and ran well. So I think it could be a decent price, and it could sneak a place. And finally, Misty Blues at 22 to 1 in the 20 past 5 at York, paying 6 places instead of 4. This is a Timmy Easterby horse. I do think it's beginning to find a bit of form. I do like the look of the horse. Drawn relatively high. Yeah, and that's my 4th selection. It ran well over York. Sorry, it ran well at York last time. And I do think it could run well again. So that's York for Wednesday. So the very best of luck. Charlie Winters, over and out. Cheers, mate.